What's up everybody, Derek here, and today I was wanting to go over 5 kayak fishing tips that will help you out, and especially if you're a beginner. Now this first one is pretty much common sense, and I've actually done this one. And everybody's tried to rip one out there and just big crankbait or big spinnerbait, and then you just hook into the rods that are right behind you. And that first one is to remember the rods that are in their rod holders behind you if you're keeping them there. Because I don't keep them back there any longer because of this reason, because of my stupidity and thinking and letting the ADD take over and thinking about the fish more than what was going on around me. And I just want to rip one out there, just a big long cast. And crankbait, wrap it around a rod, toss 2 or 3 of them out there. Yeah, I've lost 2 or 3 rods doing it that way. So if you're starting out and you're gonna go out there, remember the rods are right behind you. All right, the second one is one that I actually learned crappie fishing in a John boat, and that is one-handed paddling. You don't realize if you toss a jig up there and you're working it slow, or you got some plastics and you're just slow working that thing back to you, and you start drifting just a little bit because of the current or because of the wind hitting you just right, you take that paddle and put it just in your arm and just kind of rotate it, just like you're stirring a pot of chili or something. And you just basically work yourself up, and you're not making a lot of vibration, you're not banging the side of the kayak, you're not really doing much except keeping yourself in the same spot, and you can still fish. Put that thing under your arm, reel up the slack a little bit, put it right back in your arm, and you can keep fishing if you do it that way, and you can stay in the fish's vicinity a lot longer, and you can stay in their area, and you'll have a lot better chance of getting more bites if you can do that instead of drifting on by them. Another one is not to overexert yourself, and this is one that I've used quite a few times, and you've got to think this way. Whenever you've got a kayak, man, those things are like sailboats in the wind. So you get a little breeze and that thing's going to start slowly carrying you because you don't weigh a whole lot. And that's to fish with the wind. If you're fishing down a bank or you're fishing a point or somewhere, use that wind to your advantage so you don't have to work so hard. Sure, you may turn, you may need to do the one-handed paddle thing to correct yourself or whatnot, but you're letting that wind carry you the direction, the general direction that you want to go. So definitely use the wind to your advantage, and you won't overexert yourself, and you'll have a better time fishing as well, because it'll be almost like you're using a trolling motor when you don't even have one. All right, this fourth one is pretty much common sense, and that's to use safety. Think safe-minded, because these kayaks can tip in a matter of seconds. You could just lean out just a little bit too much and in the drink you go. Or thinking about the safety of, you're going out there fishing alone. What if you do fish a lot and you decide, hey, I could probably go catch them out there right off that big point out there in about 30 foot of water, and the wind just happens to be blowing out. So what if you do tip your kayak and your PFD, if you've got an inflatable one, doesn't go off, or you lose your paddle and you're just drifting along? I mean, there's so many different scenarios. You want to make sure you don't drop your phone in the lake, because I've heard of a lot of people doing that, especially kayak tournament fishermen. But definitely think safe out there, because that's one of the best things. Is you want to keep fishing, you want to stay alive and not have those risks involved, especially if you've got a family at home. Number 5 is really simple, I think, and that's to simplify. A lot of times you overthink things. I know we do it in everyday lives, where it's the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and we're just always constantly moving and going. But in a kayak, it's a little bit different. Sometimes you got to slow down. Sometimes you got to be oriented with just 1 or 2 kind of techniques to go catch fish. Sometimes it's just that way. And you don't want to overweight the kayak. So you just want to simplify the way that you're fishing and fish to your strengths and what you think the fish might be biting, especially if you're trying to research, because research is one of the best ways, instead of just taking off and going out there and taking the entire tackle box from the garage. So definitely think about simplifying your fishing and getting out there, and you probably will still be catching them, and You won't have to work as hard to be pulling that big old 50-pound tackle bag if you've got one like I used to. You know, a lot of those tips can be pretty useful. I know a lot of them are just common sense, but it's a lot of stuff that gets overlooked sometimes, and I know I overlooked a lot of stuff whenever I first started kayak fishing. So let me know you guys' thoughts. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section, or any of your thoughts on if I missed something that could have been really good to be used in some of these tips. But thanks for watching, you guys, and subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.